Hello chess friends, this is Grandmaster Eugene Perelshteyn and I am back with some very exciting Boston Blitz Brawl. So you are free to challenge me, anybody's welcome, 5-0 or 3-0, and I already got some challenges coming my way. So let's see if we can get a game going. Alright, we've got a game where I am black. And let's see, my opponent is about 1500. He has played the move e4. I'm gonna stick to my popular line co-authored with Eugene Albert from my black book, the Hyper Accelerated Dragon, c5 and g6. And the idea here is that I'm gonna try to take on d4, then try to develop the bishop on g7 and put pressure on that center. So that's the idea, at least. And so far so good. We are in the main line, and this is very popular opening. For those of you who are not sure the name, it's called Hyper Accelerated Dragon or simply Accelerated Dragon. The move order could really vary a little bit. Sometimes people play g6, sometimes knight c6. Now knight f6 is the main line, and my opponent plays very common sense move bishop c4. Here black can castle or queen a5. Let's try queen a5, immediately posing issues. Now you may wonder, why do I play this specific, by the way, he just dropped the pawn. Why do I play this specific way? The reason is I don't play the regular dragon to simply sidestep the Yugoslav attack. It's a very sharp variation. And my opponent drops a pawn. I simply take it, and I'm gonna castle, complete development. So far so good. And let's see, do I play d6? Let's play d6. Simply get the other bishop out. Not only my pawn up, he's got some serious structural damages. So endgame is my friend. I don't mind trading, because in the endgame the extra pawn will pretty much be the winning advantage for me. So this is a 3-minute game, so I have to play a little bit quickly. Let's see, is bishop g5 a threat? Probably not, because the queen is guarding that square. So notice I have to keep an eye on that pressure. I develop my last piece, the bishop, on c8. He takes. I was going to take with the bishop. Now bishop d4 is what I expect. That would be a good decision. Try to put pressure on my pawn. Okay, good job. So I kind of have to play aggressive now. It creates a backwards d pawn, but honestly, I have very beautiful pawn structure in the center, the e and the d pawn. One of them is an extra pawn. I'm about to play e4, and should I play e4 now? E4 now. Let's try e4 now, and put pressure on that c3 pawn. I expect queen to drop back to e2 or f1. Queen d2 runs into a very serious tactical problem. Can you guys spot it? Yep, it's bishop takes c3, skewering those rook and the queen. Now let's take and hit the rook. That's the second pawn. And now if I play d4, he's simply going to take it. So I'm going to play bishop b5, hitting that queen. If rook takes, bishop takes, my queen is protected. And little by little, white is running out of options. Yep, he duly resigned. So good job. So again, let me just quickly review where he went wrong. So the opening looked pretty normal, and then all of a sudden I created a threat, right? This is a pin, and my opponent did not notice. Well, what can I say? Prophylactic thinking, guys, right? I keep asking you to simply pose a question. What's my opponent's next move? What's his threat? So queen a5 is putting pressure, and he just simply blundered the pawn. Look at that. Well, you can't play chess like that. You're going to give me all your pawns. All right, let's see if we can get more games going. All right, I've got a game against Beer Patzer. All right, let's see how Beer Patzer from Canada is going to play this game. I'm black yet again. So he's thinking. He's thinking, and looks like he may abort this game. He may abort this game, or I will abort this game, because so far he's not making any progress. All right, let's abort this game. Let's get another one. Comfy Snake, 1300 player. That's okay. I get to play anybody today. Again, I am black. Let's try my favorite opening, e4, c5, Sicilian defense. I'm going to go for the accelerated dragon. By the way, my name is Grandmaster Eugene Perelshteyn. This is my show called Boston Blitz Brawl. You're more than welcome to challenge me and ask me any questions in the chat room, and one of our admins is going to pass them along to me. Hopefully I'll get to answer all of your questions. So far we're in the main line yet again. Let's see if my opponent's going to do better than last time. Last time white simply lost the pawn straight out of the opening. So that's usually not good, guys, when you lose a pawn straight out of the opening, especially against a grandmaster. All right, so far so good. We're still in theory. So bishop c4 was my first game. Queen d2. He's trying to play kind of similar to the Yugoslav attack setup, right? So I have a few options. I could castle. I could play knight g4 right away. Let me just think here for a second. Which one do I want to do? Which one do I want to... Let's castle. I could have tried knight g4 right away. And the idea is that I can always play d7, d5. That's the big difference, guys, from the regular dragon. Notice he's not even trying to challenge me at all. So I may just play knight g4 here. Usually f3 or h3, you're going to challenge that g4 square. Now I'm going to put a lot of pressure. Probably knight g4 is not the only move there, but this is a typical way to try to take advantage of white skipping the f3 move. So now my comfy snake opponent is thinking, rightly so, and notice that he's got a Donald Duck right there. This is reminds me of Magnus Carlsen, who loves the comics, Donald Duck comics. So knight takes e3. I'm simply going to get a bishop pair. He has to take with the pawn. I'm not sure what he's thinking about. Queen takes, loses. Yes, pawn takes is only move. I could mount the knight there, honestly, but let's just do this move. So this is double pawns, double isolated pawns. Two bishops for black. I have really good chances in this game to try to get an advantage. I may already have an advantage, as a matter of fact, because two bishops in chess, guys, is usually better than the bishop and knight long term. So let's see what my opponent's going to do. I have a nice outpost, knight e5. Bishop could come to h6, put pressure on that pawn. This guy usually goes to d7. And I just made that move to protect the knight. Queen could end up going to b6 or a5, but one thing I have to keep in mind is this. Oh, I was about to show you this knight d5 move, but he plays really passively. So I'm going to get the outpost. I expect bishop to drop back. Bishop b3, that would be my guess. And then I have two plans, right? Typically your plan is to play on the queen side, b5, followed by a5, and just do pawn storm. Knight c4 is coming up. As a matter of fact, I can play knight c4 right away, although he can take, and then play e5. I'm not that fond of allowing e5 move. So in that case, maybe I shouldn't do that yet. So again, knight c4 takes e5, d takes e, there is a pin. So honestly, there is no need for me to allow any of this stuff. I'm just going to play queen b6 for now. e5 knight is well protected. And then knight takes e5, bishop takes e5. I'm still completely fine. Two bishops, nice advantage, and black's better. So Comfy Snake is coming up with a devious plan here. Let's see what he's going to come up with as white. My guess is the best idea is to try to get the knight to d5. That's my advice to Comfy Snake if he's listening. No, he doesn't want to do that. He believes in his own, well, plans. That's fine. I'm just going to start to expand. b5, a5. That's a good move. By the way, bishop d5, I got to give him praise for that move. But honestly, e6, bishop b3, a4 is a big threat. And Comfy Snake has a little bit of a problem solving this riddle. e6 and a4. Notice the bishop will be trapped on b3. Notice that the double isolated pawn here is actually not bad controlling the key central squares d4 and d5, but long term this is bad structural weaknesses. So knight takes. Bishop takes. Bishop takes looks pretty good. I don't want to take with a pawn. Knight f3. That move was sort of expected. Now I can actually get greedy and take the b pawn. I don't see why not, honestly. Let's take that pawn. And so far so good. Black's getting some material here. e6 may still be a threat, followed by a4. If he tries to play rook b1, I could throw in bishop c3, tempo move on the queen. So far so good. I like my position here. And again, for those of you who just joined us, my name is Grandmaster Eugene Perelshteyn, and you are watching my show, Boston Blitz Brawl, bishop b5. Looks like a little skewer my opponent missed, hitting the queen and the rook. And so far, black is dominating in this game. Now queen d5 honestly has zero threat. f7 is protected. So first things first, should I start grabbing material with bishop takes f1? Or I can play a4, noting that this guy has no future, the guy on b3. So I'm not sure, guys. What do you think? I like a4. Let's grab that bishop. Queen takes e3 is an idea as well. That's with check. So black has probably more than one win and try. And I've got a big time advantage. This looks like a desperation attempt, honestly. Not sure what his idea is, so let's grab the bishop. And comfy snake is not so comfy anymore, because I'm about to take all his pieces. I took the rook. Now I'm going to take the pawn with check. I could pre-move this move. Let's do queen takes e3. And now black is simply up a whole rook. Rook e1 drops one more piece. So this is basically game over. As long as I don't make any terrible blunder, I will just keep picking up more and more pawns. Endgame is my friend, because I've got tons of material advantage. Rook c3, tempo move on the queen. I've got a big lead in development. Well, development. It's a little bit early, too late for development. I've got a big lead in material. Check. All right, let's keep grabbing more and more pawns. More and more pawns. Now, let's play a move that will try to set up a cunning trap. What would be a cunning trap move? How about queen here? Let's see if he's going to spot queen and the rook hitting the g2 pawn. He did not. So this is checkmate, everybody. And comfy snake once again did not manage to prove that white's doing good in the opening. So far I'm winning 2 games with black, and I've got a 3rd game with black. Wow, what's going on today, guys? Every game is black. So let's switch things up. Knight f6, e6. Let's go classical way. I expect the Nimzo. Yep, we have the Nimzo on the board. For those of you who don't know the name of this opening, this is the Nimzo Indian. a3 is the so-called Zemish variation, which is kind of out of fashion these days. So I'm going to try to target that c pawn immediately. So notice what I'm doing. I'm going to target that pawn with knight a5, bishop a6. So that's what I'm doing here. And beyond the mask is going to have to solve some problems here. The c pawn is his weakness. c5 is not going to help him, because I'm going to trade light square bishops, and this guy's going to get locked up behind those pawns. All right, that move is sort of expected. So now I'm going to castle. And I'm going to continue hitting that center, especially that pawn with d5. Notice he cannot take the pawn because of the pin. 1, 2, 3 attackers, right? And I'm actually going to throw in this. Well, he actually did not play the move I expected, knight e5. So what's the idea of that move? It looks like a freebie. Let's take the freebie. The pawn on c4. Pre-move knight takes. And I'm up a pawn, and I've got control over the light squares. So the opening went pretty bad for white in this game. And let's see if he's going to find a way to solve the problem of the c1 bishop. That guy is completely paralyzed behind his own pawns. So he's trying to trade the knights off, which I don't mind, honestly, because I've got a helper I've got this knight coming to d6 and c4. So I'm going to pre-move this move. I expect he's going to protect the bishop. And now this knight is actually eyeing these two squares. So this is very important. So, and I'm going to offer a queen swap. I believe I'm better in the endgame. He correctly doesn't trade. All right, so I'm going to shore up that square before I mount my knight on c4. Now, the right plan here for white, guys, is f3, bishop e1, bishop g3. Let's see if my opponent finds this plan. Notice that I'm getting ready to play c5 to get some counterplay going. f3, good move. But are you in time to get the bishop out? I don't think so, because the c-pawn is really weak. The c-pawn is really weak. All right, you've started on the right pattern here. The bishop is going to try to get redirected. But do you have enough time? Let's go here. So I expect bishop g3, hitting my knight. And I'm just going to drop the knight back for now. And then my goal is to triple up queen c6, rook c8, and just keep tripling up on the file, on the c file. And time-wise, I'm doing pretty good. So now he's really paralyzed, right? That pawn is a weakness. Oh, anti-positional moves, horrible move. Look at that juicy square for my knight. I was going to praise him for putting up really good defense, and then he plays this move f4. Yikes. Terrible positional decision. Now, look what you did to your bishop. Now it's a big fat pawn. Don't put your pawns on the color of your bishop. That's what Capablanca taught us, right? And is this a checkmate? Could this be checkmate? No, he's got bishop f2. Oh, that would have been such a nice mate. Bishop f2. And I actually don't see any immediate follow-up there. So, all right. He's kind of got lucky there. I'm just going to play h6. Although that queen f1, bishop f2 looked really promising. All right, how about now? Then there is h3 pawn hanging. So bishop f2, queen takes pawn. And looks like I'm just going to keep collecting. I could throw in rook takes c3, honestly, but this looks pretty good too. Keep collecting pawns. Let's throw this move in. Why not? You could give up the queen, but I'm just much better. So this is pretty much game over. Queen there. All right, so interesting decision. Let's throw this check just in case, although I could have probably won a couple different ways. What's the simplest win? Takes, queen takes. I don't see an immediate win. Let's throw one more check just for fun. Let's throw another check, another cool idea, and now I'm gonna grab this pawn. So notice that the queen and the rook protect each other, and I have a pretty much winning advantage. So when you win, you can simplify, by the way. When you're winning, make things easier for yourself. Now I'm gonna create two passed pawns. And now his king is kind of paralyzed. I'm gonna create another passer. He plays until mate, which is fine with me. Check. And checkmate. All right, good game, guys. So let's see if we get more challenges. Beyond the Mask wants to rematch me. Comfy Snake also wants a rematch. Let's play somebody new. All right, let's get this game. I am black. How is it possible I'm black every game today? E4, C5. Is this some kind of a black tournament where I get to practice all my black openings? Again, I'm going to go for the Accelerated Dragon. You're probably bored of my favorite opening, but that's okay with me because so far I've been winning every game with it. For those of you who don't know about this opening, I co-authored the book with Jinjin Albert. He's playing the Maritzi Bind. We haven't seen this today yet. We haven't seen this. I can take or play d6. Honestly, it doesn't matter. I expect bishop e2, main line. Yep, good move. Why is he thinking? Queen takes d4 is obvious move. So far, we're in theory. Yep, he's playing the main line, castles. Alright, so far so good. Bishop e6. Queen a5 is next. Yep, this is all theory once again. So b3 or f3 has been tried. Knight d5 is a move, although black should be able to equalize there as well. So now b3 because the pawn is hit. Yep. And now knight d5 leads to kind of equality. He can go there and make a draw, but maybe he's gonna play knight a4. Knight a4 is the main move, yep, for an advantage. So I'm gonna drop back the knight. Bishop takes d2. Wow, I did not expect that. King takes d2 is the main line. To me, that's a big surprise right there from my opponent. And he castles. Interesting decision. So what do? I'm kind of at a loss. Never seen that before. I can throw in the check. I can play f5. Let's throw in the check just to get that king as far as possible away from that center. And now what's the simplest plan here? Let's play rook c6. Honestly, I'm not sure if this is the best plan in this position. But I'm gonna either double up or play knight c5. I'm covering the b6 square. Yeah, that move is I sort of predicted. He wants to reorganize that knight. So I'm gonna double up. That knight's gonna go to d5. Take. Pawn takes probably. If he took with this pawn. So now I can make a draw, but I was thinking about rook c2 move. Although I'm not really creating any threats, honestly. If rook c2, he's gonna play bishop d3. So let's think here a little bit. Do I have anything better than that? Probably not. Rook c2, bishop g3. Well, let's test him out. If he finds, because my rook is on protection, I can't win the bishop. So bishop d3 is a good move. Yep, he found it. So now I have to go for this endgame. And let's get my king closer. This is kind of boring, guys. Boring endgame, but what can we do here? White has the bishop pair, so I'm gonna try to get something going out of this endgame, although it's also risky for me. Let's see, where do I want to get his bishop? If I play e5, he's gonna play bishop c4. So let's do this. f4 maybe? No, he did go bishop c4. So I'm gonna try to attack his bishop. And then do this. Wow, my opponent's playing pretty good for a lower rated player. Let's see what I want to do next. What's his threat? Since I don't know what his threat is, I'm gonna go here. All right, I'm not gonna trade. I know you want to trade, but I'm not gonna trade yet. Check. Although this trade actually is kind of drawish, right? If he takes, I take. So this may be a draw. Let's lock things up this way or this way. Let's try this way. Alright, he attacked my e-pawn. I gotta be careful. Everything's holding together. So it looks like a dead draw to me. Let's see if my opponent thinks the same. Attack this guy. That's an interesting decision. So yeah, he can just go back and forth. Let's try this move. H3 or H4. H3 is probably better. Everything is locked up here. Neither side can make progress. And looks pretty drawish to me. All right, let's try to come up with some winning plans. I'm gonna go here, and then I'm gonna try to activate my king. He may get scared. Let's see if he will get scared of this plan. All right, just kind of playing back and forth. Switch things up a little bit. And finally, here comes my king. So the H pawn is my only hope. And it looks like I managed to trick him. Yep, I won the game. Well, my opponent played pretty good for a 1400 player. But honestly, it should have been a draw all along. Alright, finally I'm white, guys. Let's make the best out of the situation. C4, E5. Guess what? I'm going to play my favorite opening, reverse color. You did not expect that, did you? So now we have the same opening that I played as black. Accelerate Dragon, but it's the English, so I'm actually on the white side. Let's try knight c3. And he's going for this setup. Okay, d3. Black usually plays this Karpov system, this d6, a6, h6. This is okay. I don't mind it. As white, I'm gonna play it. So now bishop g5. He's allowing me to play bishop g5. Should I give him a chance to stop it with h6 or not? Let's go here. Now, if I remember correctly, there's an interesting sacrifice. I'm not sure if it's good though. With idea g5, knight takes g5. I'm gonna try it. Honestly, I don't remember if it's good or not. So the idea is that this knight is really loose, and I want to play knight d5 or knight e4 and just try to win it. Maybe knight b8. Yeah, he found the only defense. But I'm still having all the fun in this position, am I not? Knight bd7 is going to lock that bishop up for good. In the meantime, I'm activating my pieces. And I'm about to play f4 to get one more piece, the rook on f1, into the game. Notice I could have taken the bishop, but I'm not in a hurry. The pin on the knight on f6 is so powerful that this knight can't move. This bishop can't move. None of his pieces can move. And now I'm gonna get my rook into the game. Although actually I kind of helped his bishop out to enter the game as well. f4 was premature. I should have played e3 first, then rook b1, and only then f4. Messed up a little bit, but that's okay. I'm still attacking. Wow, I did not expect that move, honestly. c5. Wow, what a move. What do I do now? I can take on d6. That's a freebie. Queen d2 looks good. Let's do queen d2. Let's get the queen into the action. The idea is the queen's going to enter the game. Hopefully more and more attacking pieces are gathering around black's king, and bad things will come for the black king. Again, for everybody who just joined us, this is Grandmaster Eugene Perelshteyn. Thank you for tuning in to my show. Shout out to all my Boston Blitz fans out there. Let's see what he's going to do next. Well, the knight is really pinned up, guys. I could just win it outright. Takes, 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 massive trades. I may actually look for more than that. Queen h4 would be really annoying, setting up various sacks. Oh, he came up with an interesting idea. I did not see that. Knight h5, if I take on d8, he's going to take my queen. But I could simply move my queen out of the way. Let's just figure out a good square. I can actually grab that pawn as well. Queen g4 looks interesting. How about this? This looks like a safe square. So f6, I can simply play bishop h6. I can take, that's not made because he can cover up with the bishop. So f6 looks like a reasonable choice for him. Okay, good move. Now knight g7. All I need is this bishop. Flop that bishop to d5 and it's almost checkmate. So how can I get my bishop across? I don't see an obvious way other than moving my knight, and let's take the pawn with the tempo. Knight b6 is probably his best try. He's going to protect that d5 square and attack my knight from the queen. He did not play it. I get a chance to maybe checkmate him in this game. If he plays king h8, I can play bishop somewhere, like bishop g5 check, and it looks like it's going to be mate. So yep, looks like black is losing this one. The knight sacrifice on g5 looks like it worked for me. And can he make a run for it? Checkmate. Mate on h6. This looks like checkmate to me. Yep, and this is game over. All right, good game, Nighthawk. Let's see if we can get another game going. And I am black in this one. Again, e4. All right, let's switch things up a little bit. I'm going to play d5 just to switch things up. The Scandinavian. Here, black has many different retreats. Queen d8, queen d6, queen a5. All of these are pretty good. I have a question. How big is the queue for playing GM? Well, playing myself, you can play me pretty much right away. You just have to challenge me. That's all. There is no queue. Just challenge me and then you get a game. Bishop c4. Probably bishop f5 here. And interesting decision. Bishop d2. I'm gonna go with this move, c6. Notice he did not play the move knight f3. I'm trying to figure out if he's trying to trick me. Is he trying to trick me? Queen d8. Or we're gonna transpose. So far, again, he's saving this move on knight f3. That move, is that a trick? Doesn't seem like it. All right, I'm gonna go offer him the endgame. And drop back. Black in these positions doesn't mind the endgame because of this massive, even though these are double pawns, massive connected pawns here, this triangle of pawns. So I will go for the endgame myself. And let's activate my bishop. All right, now what did I do? Activated my bishop, now let's castle. So h5, h4 is gonna help me fight on the g file. This is an interesting endgame position. Both sides have their trumps, but I think it's really hard for him to break through these pawns. That's why he plays the move knight e4. He's really trying to get counterplay. Although that move has no obvious threats, I'm just gonna go here. I think everything is protected unless I'm missing something. All right, so he's just shoring up that knight. Well, I'm gonna continue normal development as well. And now it's time for me to kick that knight. I expect knight g3, then I'm gonna pin it with bishop h4. The king on f2 is actually poorly placed. Yeah, my opponent, I feel like, messed up a little bit here. Now that pin is almost impossible to break. Bishop f4, yeah, that's probably his best try. And I'm gonna try to activate the other knight. Simply dropping the bishop back. Activating the other knight. I think he has to give up that bishop. Yep, he just gave up the bishop pair, guys. And now I need to break through with c5. I can do it right away. Maybe there's no need to hurry. Or is there? He may play b4. Let's think here for a little bit. c5 right away or not? Takes. He can play b4. Well, that's probably not such a big deal if he plays b4. So I'm just gonna go here. Here comes c5. Ah, he found a way to activate the bishop that way. Aha, that's kind of cunning. So let me try to see if I can lure that pawn to f4, create some weaknesses. Oh, he just blundered. He didn't pay attention. So that was a bad blunder by my opponent. So now all I need to do is just activate my pieces. Check. Push my pawns. Wow, he's giving me more pawns. Yeah, he's kind of resigning. 15 seconds against 30 should be a big advantage. All right, guys, who hasn't challenged me yet? Like I said earlier, you're more than happy to challenge me now. Let's try Victor. I am black in this game. Again, if you haven't played the Grandmaster before, now is your chance. I'm gonna switch things up and play the French. I am not really a French player, but what the heck? This is only Blitz, right, guys? So e6, d5, I'm kind of switching my openings up a little bit. And my opponent is not very ambitious. He just gave me that center. So I'm going to take advantage of it and just develop normally. This is a simple exchange variation of the French. Not very ambitious opening. opening choice by white, I may say. And I'm just going to develop naturally. And attack the d pawn on some lines. Sometimes black castles long, sometimes short. I'm still undecided which way I'm going to go in this game. If bishop g5, I'm getting ready to kick that bishop with f6. So it looks like he's insistent that I castle short. Let me think on this one. Knight g5 may be an idea there. Alright, maybe I'll start with f6 first, and then I'll castle short. I could still play bishop g4, queen d7, and castle long. Still a possibility. c4, that move I did not anticipate. That's a very tricky move. He wants to play c5 and trap my bishop, and if I take, I can no longer castle short. That's actually not a bad idea by my opponent. I think I have to take. Yep, and now I'm gonna try to get this guy out, and queen d7 next. Yeah, probably I misplayed the opening a little bit. Now I don't like this weak square on e6. So my best bet is just to try to get out castle long. Bishop b5 is a possibility. d5 is actually a possibility. He's got a lot of options. That move, probably I'm not so scared about, because I'm gonna take with the queen on d6. If that's what he wants to do, I'm not that worried about it. And if you have any chess questions whatsoever, guys, please throw them at me at the chat window, and hopefully I'll get a chance to answer your questions. That's actually not a bad move. If I move my bishop, that e6 square is kind of weak. So I'm gonna try to get out of the way. No, if I do that, he can take, queen takes. Yeah, I'm probably okay there too. So let's do this. So he's playing a little bit slow for this time control, but I think he's putting up some nice pressure there with the two knights. One knight hangs over my king, the other knight is trying to attack my bishop. I have to be careful. These knights are really annoying. So I think I was going to do this. So it's a funny battle, the knights versus the bishops. If he takes, two bishops versus two knights. Who do you think is better, guys? d5, that move I did not anticipate. I did not anticipate that move. So if I take on h2, looks kind of risky. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to attack the bishop instead. I guess rook takes to be safe. So now that bishop's under attack. Good question. Who can I learn the accelerated dragon from? Well, you're watching my show. That's the best learning experience. You can watch the show, learn from my games, or even better, get my DVD or my black book, Chess Openings or Black Explained. So that's the simplest question I can answer. Can you come up with some more difficult questions for me, guys? He's eyeing that a7 pawn. I don't like it. I'm going to try to get rid of that bishop. Alright, I'm going to get rid of that bishop once and for all. Once and for all. And let's get the knight back into the middle. Bring my rooks in. Activate the g-pawn, so make sure he can never kick my knight. Little by little, I'm making progress. And he's got no time, by the way. So that's bad news for white right here. Well, good game. I managed to win 1 point. Alright, let's get another game going. I'm white, I don't know, d4. Let's switch things up. I played c4. I haven't played e4 yet, I don't think. We're going to try to go for some classical openings. Queen's Gambit declined or accepted. Oh, we're going to go for the Slav. Alright, let's go for the Slav. I'm gonna go for the Slav as well. This is called the exchange Slav. Let's see if my opponent knows how to handle it. What is more important in chess? Very good question by Eternal Stillness. Tactics or strategy? Well, simple question requires simple answer. If you don't know any tactics, if you can't checkmate with king and queen against king, right? Or you can't see mates in 1, mates in 2, we can't even discuss strategy with you, right? So that's too easy. Obviously, tactics is way more important than strategy. But once you get to a certain level, right, you have to also pay attention to strategy. You cannot simply become a master by studying tactics, right? If you want to become a master, you have to study strategy as well. So normally beginners are taught tactics first. You get those great puzzles. If you want, you can get my app for Android devices called Chess Genie. You can also get a really cool tactics trainer if you're a member on chess.com. That's a really excellent tool as well. And just practice your tactics. Once your tactics are at a decent level, then you can try to focus on strategy. I'm not sure about this move b4, but let's go for it. Well, I have to tell you that my opponent's playing really quickly, which is not that bad, but at the same time, quickly doesn't mean he's playing good chess. So I'm just trying to use strategy. So far in this game, I'm actually using strategy, no tactics yet. But if you don't see tactics, you're going to blunder your pawn. So you got to pay attention to tactics. There's actually a tactic that if I take the pawn, you can take on h2 check, takes queen check, you're going to get the knight back. Anyway, so my opponent may have seen this or may not have. It's hard to say. I'm going to go with b5 here. And looks like I can just grab the pawn. Or actually, if I take, he can take, check. Yeah, that's probably okay with me. So here's a cool tactic, guys. Takes, bishop takes, check, king takes, queen d8, check. He obviously doesn't see any of that. So see, there you go. Tactics. You gotta pay attention to tactics. Although I don't have much time in this game, I gotta speed things up a little bit. Pre-move this just in case. He's playing super fast. Whether or not he's playing good, that's a different story. It looks like he's just dropping pawns. Dropping pawns, dropping more and more pawns. Knight b6 maybe. Not sure what the point of that move is. He can play queen c7 back. He does not, okay. Alright, let's see if he's gonna accept my trade of queens. He does. I love endgames, especially when I'm up a bunch of extra pawns. So let's see. Here or not? Let's go there. b3, b2, he's gonna try to sack that b pawn to try to win the a pawn. Nope, he's gonna give it up. Knight takes b5, come on, you gotta see this tactic at least. No, my opponent decides tactics is simply not gonna be his game today. And I'm gonna promote my pawns. As simple as that sounds. Keep pushing the pawns. He resigned. Alright. Good game, everybody. Let's try another game. And I've got a question. Where can I learn the chess opening repertoire for Black Explained? Well, that's my book, Chess Openings for Black Explained, and you can get it online. You can probably get it on Amazon if you want. So there are a lot of places that you can buy my book from. Bishop g7. So far he's playing the London system. Oh, that's not a good combination. g3 and bishop f4. That's not a good combination. I've never seen that before. But let's see if he's going to get away with that. So that bishop on f4 is misplaced. On c1 it has more sort of options. Let's play a5 to try to do some queenside expansion plan. I could go here. Honestly, I'm not sure that's the best try. Let's go there. Knight c4. Yeah, knight c4 is not that bad. So I was going to anticipate that and play queen a6. I have a question. What's the best way to study openings by DKC 2015? Do I watch the games of Masters or do I just memorize them? First of all, when I hear the word memorize, that's wrong game. You never want to memorize stuff in chess. You want to understand, right? You would understand every move you're making on the board. If you memorize 20 moves of theory, right, and then on 21st move you don't know what to do, why did you make those 20 moves on theory? It makes no sense. So memorize should not be a word in your vocabulary if you're a chess player. And my opponent is insistent on giving up a queen for a bishop, which is usually a bad trade. So yes, if you want to learn openings, you gotta study games by masters, right? By old school players like Capablanca, right? You gotta go to history. Capablanca, Alekhine, Lasker, all those guys. It's the classics, right? Nimzovich. Then you can move on to the modern chess players, right? Kasparov, Karpov, Kramnik. Now Magnus Carlsen is extremely strong player, but it may be a little bit too advanced for you guys to study Carlsen's games, for instance. But if you study old masters games, you really get to see ideas in action. So that move actually drops the exchange, bishop e7. I don't want to do that. So yeah, basically a short question is, don't memorize, but understand. If you can understand why you make a certain move, you'll be so much better chess player. So I've got an extra queen, and my opponent thinks he can still give me a fight in this game. Well, let's see. My queen is actually completely misplaced, but that's okay. Extra queen is nice. Could come in handy. I'm gonna try to get the queen active. So what is he gonna do next? That's a good question. I'm gonna fight for the open file with rook a to d8. He goes for the trade. All right, I don't mind the trade. More trades are coming. Let's try f5. So now it looks like I'm about to blunder a fork. You see, guys, knight takes b7, but I anticipated that move and there is a way out. Let's see if you can spot it. And simply tactics. Attacking the rook, getting the queen out, and I'm about to trade the rook for the rook on d1. So he's gonna probably move the rook out of the way somewhere. Yep, and now I'm gonna play this move. And he keeps playing on in this game. Challenging me to prove that, actually I could have just taken that knight, I don't know why I did that. Challenge me to prove that the queen is better than the bishop. Well, let's see if I can make that proof. Yep, good game. So he should have probably resigned a little bit earlier than that. Obviously, giving up a queen that early in the game is not recommended. All right, let's play some more players that we haven't seen before. Let's try e4. The French. I'm gonna play the Tarrasch, knight d2. The idea is that it avoids the bishop b4. There's c3 move. This, let's try knight f3. Take or not to take. Probably doesn't matter. Let's see what else. Take. Tempo move on the bishop. Bishop b6 probably somewhere. Yep, I'm going to activate this guy. All right, so far this is all classical stuff, the Tarrasch. So the question is, how do I want to handle it? So one idea is to stop this bishop g4 nonsense. This bishop is going to be annoying, and then I'm going to develop naturally. Bishop f4. All right, rook e8. Trades are normally good for me. So let's go for the trades. Ah, okay, he doesn't like that. He says no trades for you. So my second plan is to try to get that outpost. The outpost in front of the IQP. IQP stands for isolated queen pawn. Is really important, guys. This is what Nimzovich taught us. You got to control that defensive outpost. So here's my idea. So he takes, I take, he takes, I take. I've got the bishop pair, and he managed to get rid of his weakness, the IQP, right? That notorious weak pawn. So now, what's better, two bishops or bishop and knight? Normally, two bishops is better, guys. Two bishops is better than bishop and knight. So I'm gonna try to take advantage of that, and I played bishop e5 to try to make that knight a little uncomfortable. So yeah, notice that he just retreated. I'm gonna keep making that knight uncomfortable. And I could take that knight at any moment, by the way. Why is the French Winnerverse so difficult to play for white? That's a good question by my sick duck. I don't even know how to answer that question. I guess this opening is very complex, and complex openings are notoriously difficult to play. So that's kind of my simple answer. Of course, it's highly theoretical, so if you don't know theory, that's another problem right there. So highly theoretical openings are also not easy to play. Look at this cute move, bishop c7. I'm not sure what I'm accomplishing, but he can't move knight to b6. And now I'm going to try to do a little bit switcheroo. Execute a little Karpov idea. On the A file, there's this bishop a7 move. For those of you who don't know, there is a Karpov-Unzicker game. So this is kind of fun. Let's see what he's going to do. Queen d7. Not sure what he's trying to do. I'm going to try to hit that g pawn. If he takes it, rook takes c1, there's intermezzo mate, queen takes g7. So you got to really pay attention. Don't just make autopilot moves. f6 is no good either. Yeah, so you see he really weakened up his position. Now I'm going to target the h pawn, and then at the same time try to set up maiden. Yep, and that's it. It's game over. You see, two bishops is better than bishop and knight because I can play on the sides, on the colors of the dark square bishop here. So that was really an instructive game. So notice what I did. I played here, right? Switched put pressure on this diagonal, then put pressure on the g pawn. He had to weaken it up. Put pressure on the h pawn. He defended it, and after queen f6, it's game over. There is no stopping it. So you see, within 3 moves, I managed to win the game. That shows you the power of the bishop pair. So pay attention to this, guys, and hopefully you get to use these ideas in your own games. All right, let's see if we can get some more games going. All right, I've got a game. Let's say d4, e4. Let's play c4. We haven't done that in a while. And e5. All right, so I'm going to try to use my idea that we discussed earlier, kind of reversed openings. Reversed opening. So we're going to play this type of position that I typically play as black. the accelerated dragon. This is called the English, of course. And let's see what he's gonna do. Takes, putting pressure on the knight. And now the knight has to go. Knight typically goes here. Now black has several ideas. Let's play a3. The bishop usually drops back here, and then black usually plays e3. And then the idea is the knight's getting quickly to c3 in these positions. So here comes the knight. Both sides castle. And the knight's gonna get rerouted to c3. Now the pawn is protected, that's important. But the bishop on c1 is kind of passive, right? I gotta make sure that bishop is active. So let's see how we're gonna solve that problem. So one idea is to play fianchetto this bishop, to play b4, bishop b2. I kind of like that plan. Notice he played c5. He thinks otherwise about my plans. So I'm going to have to probably play b3. That's all right. I don't mind that move. The pawn on d5 really makes that bishop on b7 passive. The bishop on d6 is passive as well. It's acting more of a defensive role here. And I'm going to put the bishop here. And then maybe at some point I may think about undermining that whole central strategy, the e-pawn. Get the big diagonal going. Well, so far my opponent is not playing too bad for 1500. I like the way he's playing. He's at least thinking, coming up with some ideas. He's not just simply blitzing out the moves. So f5. f5 is an idea, f4 is a typical idea. I'm going to try to play h5, h4. h4, h5 rather, to try to tickle that knight a little bit on g6. Because that knight doesn't have a lot of squares. In general, when the knights are on g6 and b6, you want to restrict them with b3, a4, or g3, h4. Yeah, that sack, you're not going to scare me with that sack. I'm not afraid. And I guess I could just simply reroute the knight over. Yeah, typically these kind of sacks don't work, guys. The queen needs helpers, right? The bishop is kind of stuck behind the pawn. This bishop is under attack. You need helpers from your pieces. You can't just simply launch an attack like that. But maybe he's going to prove me otherwise. Let's see. He's got an idea, something we're not seeing here. So I was going to drop the knight back. Two defenders around my king. My king is quite safe. Yep, it's unclear how he's going to follow the attack. I think he's just worse. So you see, guys, you can't just simply give up material like that. Even though you get 2 points for the piece, a piece is still a piece. You know, a piece is worth at least 3 points. You have to really be careful. All right, so rook there. Well, I guess I was going to play e4 to really take the guys out of the game. Now the bishop is locked behind his pawn, and this guy is locked behind my pawn. So little by little, I am taking his pieces out of... Oh, free pawn. I'll take it. Unless he wants to play e4 and checkmate me. That would be unpleasant. I honestly did not anticipate that move, but I think I should be okay somehow. f4 he takes en passant, so I gotta be a little bit careful. Probably rook e1 is good enough. It's only one check, honestly. No one has died from a check yet, right? That's not a big concern. Although there is another check coming. I didn't see that one coming. Okay, so he did not go for any of that stuff. Let's activate this guy. I'm still completely fine, honestly. I don't see what the problem is. This guy is a monster. There's a lot of pressure. Extra rook is usually helpful. Rook h3 is coming up. I can always give up some material back in case of danger, so I think my position is quite safe. Bishop h2 check, king f1, I'm fine. Queen h2 check, same story, I'm fine. So he cannot really put more firepower. Yep, should be okay for me. So that's kind of a slow move indication that he ran out of steam, his attack ran out of steam. So that's the time for us to regroup and start attacking ourselves. Now the pawn on h7 is gonna be hit from the queen. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Freebie? Freebie? Can I just take it? Looks like he just blundered. Yep, that's why you resigned, because you just dropped the queen. But honestly, his position was already bad. Alright, let's get some more games, guys. I'm gonna play knight f3 in this game to try to switch things up against the beast. Let's see how the beast handles this one. f5. Alright, I don't mind f5. I'm gonna try to play solid. Solid. Well, when I say solid and I'm sacrificing the central pawn, I obviously not playing solid, but that's okay. That move is not so bad. I get to take and play d4. Yeah. And now I'm gonna go against that e6 hole, as they say. Try to get my knight there, hopefully. So my opponent is from Norway, and I should tell him to look at the games by none other than Magnus Carlsen, who is extremely great in these positions as white. As a matter of fact, I remember his game against Grandmaster from Uruguay, I think Rodriguez or something like that, where Magnus played exactly this way as white and just crushed black. So not recommended to play like this, and study your countrymen's games. That's my advice. So I'm not sure what he's doing. He's probably gonna try to castle long. That's my guess. Well, let's see if we're gonna mount the knight on e6. By the way, I have two threats, knight f7 and knight e6. Not so easy to stop both. And there is the outpost. Remember we talked about outpost in chess? You can't simply give your opponent freebies like that. Now the bishop can't never get out. Position is just terrible, honestly. Yep, I expected that. I'm just gonna develop. So basically the game is more or less over as long as white doesn't blunder anything, and I'm just gonna build up on the queen side, because this knight cuts two pieces out of the game. Cuts the bishop and the rook. As simple as that. And the simple plan for me, I'm just gonna simply play for b4, b5, open up the game. I could of course trade queens, but honestly, what's the point? Let's go here, try to mate him on c7, which by the way may be unstoppable. Wow, queen a5, b4. You see, guys, that's what happens when you give me outposts. So let's go back. He lost the game in virtually a few moves. So this is really strong idea, aimed at trading that bishop. He's not guarding this e6 square, and then little by little I just keep improving, and then I mount my knight on e6. After that, it's game over. He tried to make a fight, but if queen a5, I play b4, queen takes pawn, queen c7 is mate. So wow, what a game. This is probably my quickest game of the night. 16 move checkmate. Let's see if I'm gonna top that record. Probably not so easy. All right, let's see another Norwegian. We have a Norway tournament here, guys. All right, let's go back to the roots. Let's go back to the Accelerate Dragon roots. Knight f3, g6. So far so good. If you just tuned in, you're watching the show called Boston Blitz Brawl. This is Grandmaster Eugene Perelshteyn, and I'm taking everybody on. Hopefully, it's very instructive, as well as everybody's learning stuff here. And now, this position I've had before, and I'm gonna try to, before I play e6, I'm gonna try to get that bishop outside of the pawn chain. It's very important not to lock up that bishop. And this position seems to be quite safe for me. I'm gonna go here. I could play knight c6, but I don't mind the bishop taking the knight. This way he doesn't get to ruin my pawns. And let's see what happens next. So he could castle, he can play h3, he can play queen b3. There's more than one move, more than one plan. I'm just gonna go there. Which I'm not even sure about that move. I could have played a6. That's okay. Yeah, I kind of anticipated that move. Well, even this is probably not a big deal. Yeah, I'm all pinned up. That's the only problem. You see, but hopefully I will break the pins, sure enough, with a6 and h6 and get out of this relatively unscattered. Queen takes. What are you thinking about? Whoa, that move I did not anticipate. Okay. Definitely did not anticipate that one coming. Are you gonna take one d7 too? He's thinking about it. Nope, he doesn't take. Alright, so now we get opposite color bishops. A lot of people ask me, is it just simply a draw, opposite color bishops? Well, he actually doesn't like them. But no, opposite color bishops is definitely not a draw in any shape or form. So I'm gonna go here. And the rook is usually gaining to c4. So let me try to kick this guy out from the c file. And then I'm gonna try to take over the c file myself. He may blunder it actually. He's thinking, is he seeing that the rook's under attack? Come on, the rook's under attack. You gotta move the rook somewhere. Alright, finally the rook has been moved. Now, what am I doing here, guys? There's only one open file right now. It's the c file. I'm doubling my rooks, and then I'm gonna try to remove that knight by playing the b pawn. So that's exactly my plan in this position. In case you haven't noticed, that's what I'm trying to go for. And he's trying to set up barricades, but we're gonna try to break through those barricades with b5, a5. And I'm not sure what that h4 is, kind of desperation attempt. Yeah. Alright. Who is gonna be quicker here? Alright, so now I've broken through some barricades. And he's about to try to get g5 on me, which I don't mind, honestly. So let's keep moving. h5, okay, freebie. Alright, even trade. Where's the knight going? It's actually quite nicely restricted here. Now let's get everybody into the party. Everybody's gonna join the party here. Queen a6. Already I sense like there should be some kind of tactics coming up. And he managed to lose on time in honestly a pretty bad position. So that's a pretty bad position to be in. And let's see if we can get some more chess players. All right, my opponent's from New Zealand. That's a very nice place. I haven't been there yet. So let's see how the chess is in New Zealand. e4, e5, we're going classical. Let's try to play Roy Lopez style, maybe. Is he gonna go for the Berlin, the annoying Berlin endgame? I'm gonna probably play d3 to sidestep any of that stuff. No, he's going for the classical. All right, so I'm gonna go here to try to avoid mainline theory. activate the knight. D6 is one of the main moves. Yep, and then A3 to get the bishop into safety. Bishop D2. Now knight D5. Takes and bishop D5. And so far, the position is a little bit more pleasant to be white here, because I'm gonna play against the bad knight. Fianchettoed knights usually is a bad thing in chess, guys. So that's what my goal is in this game. Try to just play around that bad knight. Let's keep the game open. Try to play against the bad knight. He may not budge. He may just leave the pawns as is. Yep, that's what he's doing. That's all right. All right, so he is now finally thinking about getting the knight into the game. Now I have a few ideas. I could take, then the knight gets active, or I can activate my rook. Let's activate the rook. So knight e6, I will double up and try to get a passed pawn. Same thing on queen e6. That move I did not anticipate at all. So let's take. And here comes my passed pawn. And let's get more counterplay. Get everybody into the game. Now the knight wants to join the party. In some lines, you want to create a back rank defense. Well, that move, I'm not sure what the ideas of that move is. So let's keep pushing. So I may play h3 in some point, but maybe not yet. So see what he's trying to, he's setting up some nasty traps. If I take, queen takes a1. So luckily, I can just win a pawn. And the rook's under attack as well. Yeah, this looks like a blunder. So he's actually not attacking anything, guys. The bishop is protected. The question is, what should I do next? Let's go here. He's still pinned up. And I'm pinned up. Both are pinned up. I'm going to create this escape square for my king. Bishop c3 looked actually much better in some positions, so I can just grab this guy. If I do this now, I'm going to get mated, so that's not recommended. Let's do this instead. And I'm not in a hurry to win this game. I'm going to maneuver it a little bit longer. Because I can't really take, he takes a check, so I'm going to try to activate my knight. And now he's got some issues with everybody joining the party. Yeah, that looks pretty bad. And with this, I may say that I finally managed to queen the pawn. So check, and rook c8, and the pawn is gonna get queened no matter what. So good game, the great Auk, but position was just pretty bad. So interesting position how he had the knight on b7 fianchettoed out of the opening. So usually not recommended. All right, let's see if we're gonna play some new players. Pizza cupcakes. That's an interesting combination of foods. Knight f3. And he wants to play my opening if I play e4. Let's do it. Let's try to be on the other side. No, he doesn't want to do that. He's gonna play the modern. So he could have played c5 and transposed. The modern is a popular opening at a club level or higher, only if you know what you're doing. If you don't, you're giving up control over the center. That could be deadly. So don't usually give up control over the center. So let's go here. And let's try to activate our pieces. So now that pawn is blocking his bishop. So you see, guys, you don't want to do that. That move, okay. I don't mind the trade. And let's keep trading. More trades. All right, now interesting dilemma. If I take the pawn, he's gonna do the classic trap. So that is not something that I want to welcome. So I'm gonna offer the trade more. More trades. All right, more trades. More trades. Now the classic trap hopefully should not work now because I got more squares for my bishop. Right? So let's keep rescuing the bishop. Let's do this move, I guess. Oh, I actually blundered the pawn. Should have been a little bit more careful. That's okay. I'm gonna rescue my bishop anyways. All right, so now I got these two outside passers. I just have to not allow the knight to get active somehow. Let's go here. And let's just trade the rooks off. Make it a little bit easier for my pawns to queen. And let's paralyze the knight and make sure the king doesn't come out. And then the easy plan is just keep pushing the pawn. Honestly, doesn't get easier than that. Yeah, f6 is probably not going to help him. And that's why he gave up the knight. Now it should be pretty much one-sided game. Now, most important piece in the endgame, guys, is the king. So I'm going to activate my king sooner or later. So first I'm going to go here to stop f4. I could actually already offer a trade, but no, I'm going to activate my king first. Very important to activate the king. And then I can offer the bishop swap. Or maybe not. Maybe just keep activating the king. And now, why not? Push the pawn, right? Very easy, guys. In the endgame, you gotta push the pawn. All right, let's keep pushing. Knight's under attack. Let's give it a check. That trade, I don't mind, of course. Check. And now that his king is pretty much paralyzed, the easy winning plan is march my king and take all the rest of the pawns. So that's what I'm going to do. Or he can resign. Both of these things are acceptable. And with this game, my show is slowly coming to an end. Again, if I haven't answered your question and you still wanted to ask me a question, you're more than please, more than welcome to ask me again. Nighthawk is very keen on wanting to play me one more game. Let's do that. Hopefully, we can give him a good challenge. Maybe the Accelerated Dragon. And let's see. G6. How about knight c6? Okay, bishop e3, interesting decision. I'm gonna attack the pawn and then develop. Queen a5. So far this is all theory, and like I said, with this game we're gonna end my show. This was Grandmaster Eugene Perelshteyn, and my show is called the Boston Blitz Brawl, both sides castle. So far, when the main line of the Accelerated Dragon, notice that when white castle's kingside, a lot of people don't mind that because you're unlikely to get attacked Yugoslav style. I think he took prematurely there. Now notice how I took with the d pawn, opening up my bishop. And now I'm gonna probably, why not, probably attack his bishop. So bishop d2, bishop d4. Well, in that case, I'm gonna play e5. Is there anything better than that? I guess I can play rook d8. Let's try rook d8. This pin is really uncomfortable. He may just lose material. Right? If he takes on g7, he's going to lose the queen. If he doesn't nothing, I'm going to simply take on d4. That pin is really annoying. That's why Nighthawk is thinking here. Time is precious. It's a 3-minute game. Knight e2. Okay, so now I can take. He's going to take with the knight, though, which may not be so bad for me. Let's do this. Not sure about that one, honestly, but I think it should still be winning. It's a double attack on the mate and on the knight, and looks like he's gonna blunder mate in one. All right, good show, everybody. I managed to win all games, but some had, times really tough opposition. So I think it was really instructive for everyone, and see you next time. This was Grandmaster Eugene Perelshteyn for chess.com. My show is called Boston Blitz Brawl. See you, everybody.